He's gonna shove it.
Yeah!
He's gonna shove it.
Fans of Sting, it's time to grin, because today's video isn't a burial, it isn't a battering, and it damn sure ain't an episode of Ring of the Hawk. In fact, this is a pretty positive video. I woke up today in Bridgewater Bay and banged my head. It wasn't a brick, believe it or not, but wood, and that gave me a new way of thinking. A happier, more positive outlook. So if you don't like this video, shut up or I'll smack you one. So sit back, neck a beer, the Hawk's here. Here's the top 10 Sting matches in TNA to make you spray. Today's video was not a Patreon request, but it was a video request by today's video sponsor, who is the Gaming Revival over on Instagram. So make sure you go show him some love, or some hate. Threaten him with a brick. You don't want to be his mate. When he was a little boy, he used to sit in his room punching his TV every time Sting lost. Luckily, that wasn't very often, so his parents only had to buy him 4 TVs throughout his childhood. If you also like to sit in your room punching your telly, go check him out over on Instagram. And if you, like me, thought that the Spirit Squad looked like the Ginyu Force, go threaten to smack him with a brick because he thinks we're all wrong. Number 10 on the list today is an empty arena match which wasn't on pay-per-view, the only one on this list that isn't. It's all about infighting in the main event Mafia with this one. Angle's basically putting hits out onto young guys, and Sting has become a bit disenchanted with how Angle's been running things. It's so strange seeing an empty Impact Zone. I guess the commentary team are the only ones who didn't have to leave. Angle was looking like a truly miserable toad around this time. Sting sends Kurt out the ring straight away and then he throws him over the crowd barrier. Angle strikes back with fury in the stand. The Icon then turns around, whipping Angle into a wall. Sting and Angle fight at the top of the Impact Zone, which ends up with Sting shoving Angle over a fence. Angle isn't that hurt though, and he surprises Sting with a post box to the head. Angle is screaming "I hate you" the whole time, and this adds to the whole realistic feeling to the match. Angle misses a chair shot, and that enables Sting to use the chair. Angle then starts begging with him and saying that he's sorry because he doesn't want to get hit with the chair. Kevin Nash then appears and he blocks a chair shot. He tries to talk the 2 main event Mafia men around to being friends again. The Stinger tries to be the bigger man and he offers his hand in friendship, but Angle spits in his face. That's pretty much the end of it. That was a really nice segment though, and it felt completely real and something that's missing from today's wrestling. On to more of a match now. It's TNA Sacrifice 2006. I've mostly tried to focus on singles matches for this video, but this isn't one. This is going to be a tag match. Sting has basically been bringing back loads of former WCW wrestlers to mess with the guy he's taking on this tag match and claiming they'll be his partner for the show. So it'll be Scott Steiner and a wild Slapnuts appears.
Double J, Jeff Jarrett.
And he's accompanied by Gail Kim, and they take on the team of Samoa Joe, who isn't ex-WCW. I guess none of them were good enough, and he teams up with the Icon Sting. No gold on the line here, and Joe is still undefeated and really in his TNA prime. The Stinger takes Jarrett down straight away and he has to get a reassuring shoulder rub from Steiner. Slappy is annoyed and he slaps Sting like a little girl would do. Sting no-sells his offense and screams at him. Jarrett is getting his nuts handed to him and he has to bail to the outside. Jarrett then brings Steiner in because he's not doing so well. Steiner doesn't do much better and Sting boots him from the corner. Sting hits a splash from the corner and then he dodges a Slapnuts attack as he crashes into Steiner. Sting then hits both guys with a top rope clothesline. Sting looks really fired up for this one. He brings the undefeated Samoa Joe into the match, who's been having a famous battle of words with Steiner around this time, but they haven't clashed too much at this point in the ring. Anyway, this video isn't about that, so I better shut up or you'll start throwing bricks through my window. Who am I kidding? I don't even have windows, I have twigs and dirt. Joe wrestles a long portion of this match before bringing Sting in, and he has clotheslines for both his opponents and then a big powerbomb on Jarrett. Sting wants to hit the death drop on Steiner, but Jarrett gets involved, so instead he sweeps Jarrett's legs out. Sting keeps trying to put on the death lock, but it keeps getting broken up, and Jarrett hits him with a DDT. Steiner's now on top and he gets a 2 on a belly to belly. Jarrett gets on a front face lock on Sting, but he eventually makes it up and tags Joe in, but the ref doesn't see it. Funny spot up next as Sting smacks Steiner down, but he's dazed, and after trying to stand on his feet for 5 to 10 seconds, he eventually crashes headfirst into Steiner's nutsack. Joe gets back in to turn the match around. Sting and Joe then work together to deliver attacks in the corner, and then Sting goes high risk as he dives over the top onto Steiner, but I'm not sure how much of it he hit. Jarrett's left in the ring alone with Joe, who wins the match with the Muscle Buster. This match was more about Joe than anything else, but I feel like Sting made a strong contribution to the match. There's going to be better entries on this list, but it was decent from Sting's perspective. Sting's really classy after the match as he makes sure that Joe gets all the plaudits. Final Resolution 2007. Alright, it wouldn't be a Marky D video without an appearance from Shove It Squad regular Slapnuts, and also the Idiot Abyss. Really confusing build up to this one. Abyss is the World Heavyweight Champion and Sting has been trying to get him to ditch his evil side and his evil manager James Mitchell. Also involved is Christian Cage, who's been claiming that he knows a secret about the monster Abyss. The challengers are Christian Cage, whose friend Tomko is locked in a cage, versus Sting versus the champion Abyss with James Mitchell. This triple threat will be under elimination rules. Sting starts out with fire and he sends Abyss out of the ring. Sting wants to hit 10 punches in the corner on Christian, but he keeps falling down. Abyss interrupts Sting's offense and he drags him into the ring pole, nutsack first. Christian sends Sting into the Tomko cage and then he slams him on the outside of the ring. Sting is unable to have much of an effect in the early stages as Tomko is choking him through the cage, completely destroying the point in having him in a cage. Then out of nowhere, Sting comes into the ring and hits the Scorpion Death Drop on Abyss, and just like that it's over and Abyss is eliminated. James Mitchell tells Abyss to chokeslam Sting, but he doesn't want to do it. Christian hits a missile dropkick on the Stinger for a 2 count. Christian's very confident he's going to win this one and he starts slapping the Stinger around in the corner. Never a good idea because this fires young Sting up. He starts no-selling Christian's punches and then he floors him. Sting hits a big back body drop and then a gorilla press slam. Sting tries a splash in the corner but Cage dodges it, but seconds later he gets superplexed from the top. James Mitchell reappears and then he releases Tomko from his cage as Sting has the deathlock applied. Tomko hits a big power move on Sting but he kicks out. Tomko just won't leave and Sting tries to send him over the top, but he just doesn't seem to want to go, does he? Abyss also reappears and he beats Tomko up. Cage tries a belt shot but it doesn't work for him and Sting uses the Umpredia, but Cage kicks out. Then there's a ref bump, although he's been completely irrelevant so far. James Mitchell comes in, he hits Sting in the back with a stick but he no-sells it and Sting puts him in the deathlock. Abyss seems to suddenly have a change of heart about Sting and he whacks him with a chain. Christian makes the cover as Sting's leg seems to be stuck to Mitchell's stick, which pretty much whacks the referee in the face, but he still counts the 3. An overbooked match with bad refereeing, but it was still really entertaining. Turning point 2008. A bit of a different angle for this match as Sting is the heel champion and he's fighting a war of respect. It's the phenomenal AJ Styles versus the champion Sting. The Icon keeps taking Styles down, who immediately fights up using a hammerlock. This frustrates young Steve Borden in the early gun. AJ misses a drop kick and Sting hits him with a bulldog, but Styles gets straight back up and manages to connect with the drop kick, second time lucky. Sting's in a really bad mood for this one and he press slams AJ and dumps him out the ring. The Stinger follows him outside and dumps AJ across the crowd barrier. This match has completely turned and AJ is no longer looking cocky as Sting drops him across the ropes. Styles gets a hope spot and he hits a jumping enziguri to cause a double down. Back on their feet, AJ hits some punches and a back drop suplex. This allows AJ to hit a springboard forearm for a 2 count. Sting makes a recovery and tries to put on the Scorpion, but Styles kicks him off. AJ then crashes into the corner and the Sting hits the death drop for a 2 count. Sting tries to end the match with a dive, but he misses it. He doesn't miss 3 Stinger splashes in the corner though. Sting tries to end it with a superplex, but AJ fights it off and turns it into a powerbomb. AJ doesn't make the cover as he heads up to the top and AJ connects with the spiral tap. For some dumb reason AJ still doesn't make the cover and Styles tries another one. The main event Mafia then run out and cause a distraction. AJ tries to hit the Pele kick but he misses and Sting rolls him up for the 3 to remain the champion. These two had good chemistry and they did a couple of things you wouldn't have expected. This one is admittedly weaker than some of the entries on this list, but it's still better than others. Against All Odds 2007. This was a long-running feud in 2007. Abyss the Idiot was controlled by Father James Mitchell and did his evil deeds, while Sting tried to turn him good. The Idiot had recently been revealed as a murderer who did time for killing his dad. This match feels more like Sting versus Father James Mitchell. I don't even think Sting hates Abyss. This is a prison yard match. It's Abyss with James Mitchell versus Sting. This is basically a casket match where the loser is the first person to be shut into a cell and locked. The arena has been filled with lots of gimmicks and the match starts backstage, so it begs the question, what the hell are these idiots coming out to do an entrance for and then going backstage again? Seemed like a waste of time. Sting makes it back there and throws a trash can at Abyss whilst he looks like a deer in the headlights. Sting smacks him with a trash can whilst the monster gets covered in dust. Abyss puts Sting on a table and slides it into the dumpster. With ease, Abyss then picks up Sting and throws him into the trash. Luckily for the Stinger, there's plenty of padding in there. Sting is playing possum and then he smashes Abyss in the face and he collapses onto a table. The Stinger then hits a humongous dive off the dumpster through the table. Damn, wasn't expecting that. They head out to the ring next with Sting hitting chair shots on the way. Next up, Sting hits Abyss with a barbed wire baseball bat. Sting calls for the prison cage to be lowered, but he can't get Abyss in the box. Mitchell gets floored from the apron and then Sting smacks him one with a belt buckle. Sting is too distracted by Mitchell and it allows Abyss to wake up and he shoves a table into the ring. Out of nowhere, Abyss rips a light off and he smashes it over Sting's face as it shatters everywhere. The crowd go nuts. Abyss gets the Icon in the cage, but he won't allow him to shut the door. Sting is apparently stronger than Abyss. Abyss gets some more hardware with a barbed wire board and he shoves it in the corner. The Stinger tries a comeback, but instead he gets a black hole slam. Once again, Sting proves he's stronger than Abyss and as he blocks the cage door. Abyss tries a charge, but Sting boots the door into his face. The Stinger hits a couple of splashes into the corner and then he hits the Scorpion Death Drop. Sting gets him in the cage again, but once again he gets distracted by Jim Mitchell. Abyss wakes up again and he sets Sting up on the table and he thinks he can climb the cage. What an idiot. Sting wakes up and he puts the barbed wire board on the table and then he powerbombs the idiot through the board and the table. Damn. Sting gets him in the cage and shuts the door to end the match. But it's not over for Sting because he now has a shot at getting Jim Mitchell. Sting chokes him out until security stop him. This one was great. It could have done with 5 more minutes, but it showed a different side to the Stinger and it was a bit of a different entry for this list. And it was certainly better than including the last Rights match. TNA Bound for Glory 2006. Sting has been off the show for a few months at this point, whilst his opponent for tonight has been smashing everyone in the main event with an acoustic equaliser. Sting's back tonight to challenge for the NWA heavyweight title with his career on the line, so big stakes in this one. Kurt Angle will be the special guest enforcer just to add star power to the match. So if you didn't guess it already, the Stinger's opponent is Jeff Jarrett. It's no exaggeration how disgusted people were of Slapnuts in the main event at this point. It had me dash into the toilet every time. The smugness of his face at this point had me wanting to hurl a brick through my monitor, just like the gaming revival. Stinger gets an incredible reaction and debuts a new look here. Sting is probably in the best shape he was during his entire TNA run. That's what time off can do for you guys. Hit the gym hard and rest easy. Slapnut scores his first knockdown with a hip toss and Sting seems a bit shocked. Jarrett tries another but Sting is too strong, but persistence is the key for Slappy and he nails another toss. They're telling a good story here that Sting has taken so long off that he's rusty as Jarrett smacks him one. Sting has to bail to the outside as he gets drilled with a dropkick and Jarrett does his silly strut. Sting tries to draw off the crowd and Slapnut spits at him. The fired up Sting hits a big time powerbomb and then he sends Slappy to the outside. Jarrett pushes Angle because he's a dick, but Angle isn't backing down and he tells him to get back in the ring. They start fighting on the outside because every Jeff Jarrett match must have crowd brawling. Slapnuts tries to use a chair, but Angle takes it away. They head up the ramp and Sting hits a suplex. Sting wants to use the chair, but Angle also stops him, showing that he's impartial. Jarrett crashes into Angle to take him out, and then he hits Sting with a DDT on the ramp. Jarrett's feeling it now as he stamps on Sting in the ring. There's a slightly clunky moment, and then we get a double down as both men crash into each other. The ref's counting and he gets to 9 and both men are still down. Angle quickly hits an angle slam on the referee to stop him from counting to 10. Seemed a bit over the top, why not just tell him it's not happening? Stinger's now firing on all cylinders and he hits the Stinger Splash and Scorpion Death Drop, but somehow it's only a 2 count. Seconds later, Slapnuts is back up and he hits a stroke, but Sting kicks out. Jarrett tries a tombstone-like driver, but Sting reverses it into one of his own. Wow, wasn't expecting that in this match. It's only a 2 though. Jeff Jarrett isn't getting on with referee Kurt Angle, and again he tries to hit the stroke, but Sting fights it off. Neither man has a second to breathe as Jarrett blocks a Sting dive. Slapnuts puts on the figure 4 leg lock, but Sting powers out of it. Jarrett is persistent again and he puts on the ankle lock while smiling at Kurt Angle. What a dick. Sting rolls through and he sends Jarrett out to the floor. The damage seems to be done to Sting's leg though. Sting wants to use his bat, but again Angle stops him. Whilst that's going on, Slapnuts sneaks into the ring and hits a guitar shot in Sting's face. Sting goes nuts and no-sells it as the crowd erupt. The Stinger puts on the Scorpion Deathlock and Slapnuts taps out. The crowd are going berserk. Was it the best match of all time? No. Was it the best Sting match of all time? No. But what it represents was important. For years, Jarrett had been smashing everyone with that stupid guitar and putting them away. He's buried legends, future stars and current stars over and over again. But on this night, Sting was stronger than the guitar. Or should I say his face was. The Jarrett reign of terror is over and Sting is the new champion. Hardcore Justice 2011. Sting is being the ultimate good guy and he's been trying to take down Hulk Hogan's Immortal faction. During the feud, he took on a new persona and captured the World Heavyweight title, and this was during his final run as the champion. So it's Kurt Angle, the challenger, versus Joker Sting, the champion. Angle takes Sting down with a headlock takeover before the Stinger gets back to his feet to hit arm drags. The crowd are completely split here. Angle is already setting out to work on Sting's arm, but Sting isn't having it and he sends Angle into the corner and boots him in the back of the leg a couple of times to take Angle down. Stinger is having the better of it in the early going. He sends Kurt to the outside and he takes a rough landing. They come back into the ring and Kurt Angle hits a bad looking Samoan drop. You know, I hate it when some wrestlers use the Samoan drop. It should be saved for Samoans and fat guys, and Kurt Angle is neither. Sting tries a comeback but he takes a massive knee to the gut. Angle then hits a gutbuster for a 2 count. More varied moves than I was expecting here. Kurt sends Sting into the ring a couple of times, but the insane Icon charges at him with a big knockdown clothesline. Sting looks like a real brawler in this match and all his strikes seem to have an extra impact about them. Sting gets a 2 on a DDT with authority. Angle then fights back with an overhead belly to belly that almost causes Taz to reach the point of climax for the first time in his life. Angle's suplex game is really on now and he hits triple German suplexes. Angle tries to hit him with the moonsault from the top, but Perk Angle catches nothing but the mat. Sting uses his own finisher against him for a 2 count. The Stinger puts on the Scorpion Deathlock, but Kurt Angle crawls to the ropes, looking like a crackhead begging for one more rock. Angle's back in this one now and he hits an Angle Slam for a 2 count. Angle then misses a spear in the corner and he smashes into the post, which allows Sting to apply the ankle lock. Angle's an expert at fighting off his own submission, and what's fair is fair, so he puts on Sting's Scorpion submission, but he makes the ropes. Angle goes back to the German game now, but Sting fights it off and tries a tombstone, but Angle fights that off and puts the ankle lock on. Sting's able to roll through though, almost taking the referee out in the process and makes a pin, but it's only a 2. Then there is a real ref bump. Immortal's Hulk Hogan then appears with a steel chair and he gets in the ring. He goes to hit Sting, but Angle takes the chair away from him. Then in a turn that no one saw coming, Kurt Angle uses the chair on Sting and he hits the Angle Slam. The ref wakes up and it's a 3. New champion. By Sting in 2011 standards, this was excellent. The only thing that let it down slightly was that he's playing this insane Icon character, but he doesn't really do anything that's insane. He just looks insane. He wrestles like normal Sting. Still a good match though. From Sting being insane to Bound for Glory 2007, for this one Kurt Angle's insane. He's been crazy for a while and he's had constant comedy segments with Dr. Kevin Nash. Angle even went as far as abusing Sting's son Garrett. No, not that one, in the run-up to this match. The Stinger is the challenger for the belt in Atlanta. He should have full crowd support versus the champion Kurt Angle. Sting starts out working on his arm and Angle has to break on the ropes. Sting puts on the side headlock but Angle does the leg scissors and Sting sort of kips up. Sting hits a high hip toss and Angle has to regroup on the outside. Back in the ring, Stinger gives Angle the 10 punches in the corner without a comeback. You don't see that often. Angle's looking for the ankle lock but Sting kicks him off and sends him to the outside with a dropkick. The Stinger then sends Angle off the ring apron again and this time he follows him out there and he slams Kurt into the commentary desk. They make it back to the ring and Angle finally does something with a released German suplex. Angle gets some more 2 counts next as he starts his suplex game. He gives Sting the overhead belly to belly and Sting looks done. He does get a hope spot as both men try a clothesline. Sting is back in this one now and he hits a big spine buster for a 2. Not a move I would normally associate with Sting. He hits the Stinger splash in the corner and a running bulldog. Sting tries to dive but Angle sprints up to the top and snaps off a suplex for a 2 count. Angle tries to end it with the Angle Slam but Sting reverses it into a pin for a 2. Angle's starting to get furious and he delivers 3 German suplexes. Kurt tries to make him tap with the ankle lock but Sting reverses it into the deathlock. Karen Angle appears now and she causes a distraction and Nash also appears in the ring to clothesline Sting. Angle hits Steve Borden with the Ankle Slam but the referee is gone due to Karen Angle. He eventually gets a 2 count. Sting tries a top rope splash but Angle gets his knees up. Angle then hits a front slam and it's his turn to head up top. What happens next was completely unexpected. Angle hits a big flipping dive and he crashes into Sting with his knees. Somehow this is just a 2 count. How on earth is that just a 2 count? Sting then fights out of the ankle lock and sends Angle into Kevin Nash. The Stinger then hits the death drop but then there's a ref bump so nobody can count the pin. A new ref comes out but Kevin Nash takes him out. Nash then comes into the ring and he starts beating up Sting but the Icon takes them both out double clothesline. Angle turns it around for a low blow and then he gets Sting's bat but the Icon blocks it and then he beats up both Angle and Nash with the big black bat. He hits another Scorpion death drop on Angle and this time there's a ref to count. It's 3. Really enjoyed this one as Sting wins the TNA World Heavyweight title for the first time. The crowd and setting for this one helped it feel more meaningful, and the Stinger wrestled a great match. It's also great to see someone win after all that interference. Our second to last entry on this list today has to have one of the longest builds of all time. Sting and Kevin Nash had been warning Dixie Carter that Hogan was up to no good, and he eventually stole the company from her. Sting, as the ultimate good guy, fought the good fight for TNA and Dixie Carter at Bound for Glory 2011, the ownership of the company on the line. Oh, and he also became the Joker Sting, which we mentioned earlier, and this will never be forgotten. It's the immortal Hulk Hogan versus Sting. Both guys get an incredible crowd reaction, probably some of the biggest in TNA history. Hogan also brings out his buddy Ric Flair, and Eric Bischoff's talentless son is the referee. It feels like TNA are about to fuck with us, but stay tuned. No, this isn't a match for the wrestling purist, but why it's high on this list is for what it represents and the spectacle of it all. This match would have fit in at WrestleMania. Sting starts out with a side headlock into the Hulk, knocks him down and then hulks up. Hogan has more punches for Sting and he puts on a submission. Stinger tries to fight back but he gets floored again. Hogan's playing dirty with the back rake and the eye rake. Ric Flair on the outside assaults Sting's nutsack and then the Hulk hits him in the nutsack. Hogan's lacking a few wrestling moves at this stage of his career, so he bites Sting instead. Hogan then hits Sting time and time again with some sort of spike. It's basic stuff, but the crowd are going nuts. They come back to the ring and Hogan is taking it easy and showing off to Flair. The Stinger fights back with punches, lots of punches in this match. Sting scores one of the first Hulk Hogan knockdowns before Sting is distracted by Flair again. Sting now has the spike and he puts it to good use on Hogan's massive head. Sting hits the Stinger splash and another one to Hogan's surgically repaired back. I felt that one. Sting puts on the Scorpion and Hogan taps out. Flair immediately attacks Sting and he's joined by the members of Hogan's Immortal faction. They're crushing Sting with chairs as a Hogan chant starts in the crowd. The Stinger is destroyed and he pleads with Hogan for help. The Hulkster hawks up and takes out all of the Immortal guys with ease as he turns into a good guy. Hogan and Sting unite and the fans are going bonkers. The Stinger encourages the crowd to chant for Hulkamania as every fan is on their feet chanting Hogan's name for the first time in over a year. They shake hands and this is pretty much the same as when the NWO ended with The Rock and Hogan in the WWE. I promise you this is not on the list for wrestling quality. In fact, there wasn't a single wrestling move to be found in this match. But I don't care about that because for a spectacle you can't get much bigger than this match. The top pick on our list today is Sting in yet another battle for respect. He should have formed a tag team with the American Badass or something. Sting is the challenger for the world title in the main event here. The champion here is Samoa Joe, who's in the middle of his one and only reign as heavyweight champion. I've reviewed this whole pay-per-view before, but I'll happily rewatch this match again. It will be a pleasure. Sting comes out of the blocks like a house on fire, but Joe isn't having it and he sends him to the outside. Joe hits a huge diving forearm to follow it up. A big crowd brawl then starts and they head up some steps at the top of the arena. Where do they think they're going? They pause right at the top and then Joe takes a walk. Suddenly he comes running back and he hits a massive drop kick on the concrete steps. I've seen this many times before at this point, but it still looks crazy to me. Both men are somehow still standing and they head back towards the ring. Sting hits a dive off a step as both men fall across steel chairs. This is an insane brawl. Sting tries another dive, but suddenly Joe sweeps his legs out and he falls on his nutsack, and then Joe follows it with a big kick. They finally make it back to the ring with Joe standing strong. In the ring, Joe hits a big kick and Stinger looks like he's in real trouble. Very mixed crowd in this audience. Joe tries a muscle buster, but Sting finally fights back with a lovely DDT. Then Sting dives off the top with a big splash. He's pulling out all the stops here. Joe stops him with a powerbomb into an STF. What a match this is. Joe looks extremely cocky whilst he has the submission locked in, and why shouldn't he be? He's at the top of his wrestling career here. The Stinger makes the ropes, but the damage is done. Joe snaps off a big slam for a 2 count. Joe wastes too much time and Sting hits him with a Stinger splash and then randomly he hits a Samoa Joe muscle buster. Didn't expect to see that. Joe no-sells it and he gets straight back up, taking a page from Sting's playbook. Joe then slaps the hell out of him and hits a Scorpion death drop, but Sting no-sells it and gets straight up. Sting hits another Stinger splash, but on the second one Joe catches him with the Uranagi. The Samoan is far too cocky here and he might live to regret this. Joe starts kicking the back of Sting's legs and his face and he looks like he's been destroyed. Joe's trying to take the knockout victory, but Sting is going to make it up at 9. Joe doesn't even let him up and starts pounding on Sting again. Suddenly, Kevin Nash appears looking annoyed. Joe hits a big DDT, but he doesn't pin him and instead he argues with referee Earl Hebner. Sting reaches for his bat, but Kevin Nash stops him and then Samoa Joe floors him. Joe almost crashes into the referee, which sends him out the way, and whilst that's going on, Nash hits Joe in the back with the bat and Sting hits the death drop. New champion. What a Sting match that was. He played the complete underdog here and took a real beating. This match came as a complete shock to me. It was great the first time I watched it. It still holds up today. I highly recommend this one. So that's the list. Thank you all for bearing with me during the Nest move. I'm split between two houses right now and it's a bit of a mission to stay on schedule with these videos. It doesn't help that I've moved so far down south into the sticks that there's an actual hawk sanctuary by my house. And sometimes my car gets so covered in bird turd that I can't see out the windows. I've got a few new ideas coming out real soon involving wrestling B shows. I thought it might be cool to look at some of the storylines that took place on these B shows. Also subscribe to my new channel The Hawk and Friends, which is going to be cranking out lots of new content real soon. I'm trying to build something incredible here. Hawk out. Hawk away!